What does it take to be a successful entrepreneur? A dangerous amount of coffee and a ton of grit. My name is Jason Tracy, and every week I interview business leaders to share their stories, life lessons, failures, and advice with you. Welcome to Coffee and Grit. What is up? What is up? What is up? Welcome back to another phenomenal episode of Coffee and Grit. And you know what? If you're a regular listener, you hear the success leaves clues and listening, stories or data with soul. And as you're listening to stories and understanding how to meet incredible people. And so I was asked, I got a message the other day from somebody that was reaching out, asking, really wanted to set up and be on the show. And they asked me, how do you meet people and how do you book people on the show? And at first it started off being really intentional. I'd find the people that I was meeting out and that I wanted to get to know more about, and I would purposely ask them, and I was never proactive with it. It would just kind of like be spur of the moment, and every once in a while I'd have them scheduled out, but most of the time it was like, oh, I have a week, who am I going to have on the show next week? And it'd be kind of a scramble to get somebody, but it wasn't really ever a scramble. It was never really hard, which is why I think the podcast kept going, even though sometimes it got really exhausting doing all the work. But so I used to intentionally go out and I'd find people and have these conversations, and I still do that when I'm out and about and I'm out in public, or I go to events. I meet so many amazing, awesome people, and it's just a natural way in my process. When I meet somebody and they've got a really awesome story, and we just really connect, and I know we're gonna have some phenomenal conversation. And when I talk about stories or data of the soul, when you're talking back and forth and connecting with somebody, there's so much value in that. And so those are people that I always have on. I also meeting people through, this has been another thing, is people that have been on the show that have then connected me to other amazing people, or because somebody has been on the show, somebody's listened to the show and then reached out to me and said, hey, how do you schedule people? And it's always bringing people in and having conversations from there. Our guest today, Michelle Armstrong, I met through kind of a combo of that. Adam San Juan, our guest, was this was probably a couple months ago now. Phenomenal guy. And he actually, the week of our podcast launch, he was like, I need you to meet my friend Michelle. You two are going to connect so well. And so he invited me to this really cool event. We went out to a comedy club in Royal Oak, and me and my wife Gracie got to sit with Michelle and her husband at the comedy club, and got to meet. And it was one of those situations where it's like talking, like we connect right away. And so hearing about what she's doing in just bringing automation into business and being able to free yourself up. I'm really excited to talk about some of this stuff, because we haven't had full in-depth conversation with it and what we can do. And we're also going to get a sneak peek live demo today. So I'm super excited, because you need to see this, and I'm excited to see it. Michelle Armstrong from TAG Multimedia, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. Glad to be here, Jason.
I'm excited. It's been a couple of months since we scheduled it. So it's one of those things like, my wife, Gracie, asked me, she was like, who do you have on today? I'm like, Michelle. She's like, oh my God, that happened quick. That happened.
Yay.
Yes.
That's probably one of the things about doing your own thing, is that you get to decide how quick on a dime you can turn.
Well, what's crazy is it was always that way, but now I'm scheduled out until May, and it's just constant, like it's now booking ahead of time, because I'm meeting so many awesome people, because I'm being connected to so many awesome people. I add in so many people reach out to me and say, you need to meet my friend, you need to meet this person. And so that's really, really cool. It's like that reciprocity, and it just keeps on growing to where now it's like, I've got to really sit and look back and schedule purposely, I'll be out here next year. And it's like, it's hard, because I like having that booked ahead, but also when I meet somebody, it's like, oh, I want to have you on, but it's going to be a couple months, like I want to have you on now, like, let's go. But
you know what? It was all good to wait. I think the holidays, and I think things going on in the world and in our business, at least, the last few months have been creating some great opportunities for us. So it allows us to come in here and bring something unique and show you, like in the demo that we're going to give you. It's very exciting for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I didn't even know that timing. And
I know.
Because I had this in my head. I'm like, I was looking at your website, and I'm like, I want to see this. And I think it'd be so powerful as we sitting down and talking to be able to do that. And so when I talked to you the other day, you're like, I can do one better. We just, we launched 3 weeks ago. And I was like, yes, that's exactly it.
Let's make the most of it.
Let's make the most of it. So let's kind of kick off. And you're in marketing. And so tell me a little bit, how did you start? How long have you been doing your business?
Well, first of all, again, thank you very much, Jason, for allowing me to come in and share our story and what it is that we do. Uh, I have I've been in this space. I've been in a performance-based space for most of my adult career. And I've worked for some Fortune 50 companies. And I've transitioned through some mergers and acquisitions. But overall, I've been in a role where I've helped small businesses connect the digital space with traditional advertising. And I've helped them understand how digital should work in unison, and that it's not if or, it's and. And you have to figure out what that formula is going to be for your business. Okay. I realized that there are people out there who are do-it-yourselfers. There are people out there who are delegators, and there are people out there that are just, here, you do it, great. I think the turning point for me was about 6 years ago. And our agency is first and foremost an advertising agency, okay? And being in advertising for most of my career in some way, shape, or form, I had the opportunity to sit across the table from a lot of different business owners, all the way from your solopreneur, all the way up to your Fortune 25 company. I've worked on some very big accounts here in Southeast Michigan and some across the United States. So I've been able to see what a certain budget can yield for a certain amount of money in certain channels, and how frugal and how specific and pointed you must be for a solopreneur or an entrepreneur who's just getting started. It's afforded me a unique position in allowing me to go forward and pursue what I want to do. That said, sitting across the table, it was not uncommon for me to hear someone say, "What are you doing for me? What are you doing with my money?" And my famous is, "What the heck am I paying you for?" And I would have to go through and share metrics and share performance and explain. I didn't know that that would be as fertile a learning ground as it was. So as technology took its place in advertising, over the years, the companies that I worked for started to integrate their own types of ideas on what technology should be in a business space. So before I left my last corporate position, I was working on business automation software that helped streamline your functions and your processes in your business. Regardless of how big or how small, they had a solution. So for me, that was yet another learning curve. And it was exceptional because I'm all about the process. I like things to be simple. And I think one of the resonating things that came from those conversations with those business owners is how little time they actually had to invest in new things.
Yeah.
And how their resources were so, how should I put this? They were so strictly monitored, and they had to manage them so effectively, and they always wanted their investments. I'm saying always as an absolute, because regardless of the explanation I gave them about the advertising and marketing choices they could make, they wanted to be able to prove ROI with an end result of a sale or something they could earn money from. And I don't begrudge them for that, even though that's not always the intent of advertising. So as I was working in the space and listening to these business owners, they were telling me what they needed software to do. And the software that I was representing, while it was good, I would go back to management and say, this client wants to know if it can do this. They need it to do that. Can we make this function this way? Can we connect it here? And I would run it up the flagpole, and many times I would get frustrated because I was there in person, hearing their pain, hearing their frustration, but also hearing their desire to be modern. They want efficiency too. They know in their business where they need to be spending their time. And sometimes learning something that isn't in their wheelhouse isn't necessarily where they want to or should be spending their time. Yeah. So that was the impetus to say, honey, my husband, I need a solution. And he would just take me in his arms and he would say, honey, it's time. And he said, it's time for you to go open your agency, because he knew I always wanted that.
Yeah.
So I laid some groundwork for myself. And the interesting, I think part of the story of how I got to where I am is, again, one of those moments where it was an epiphany that happened. And I can give you an explanation if you'd like.
Absolutely.
All right. So one of the things that my husband and I do is try to work-life balance that whole thing. Some days I'm more successful than others, I'll admit. But one of them we try to do is go for a walk every day. Okay. So we're on this walk, and I've already left corporate America, and I'm starting to get my processes and my organization in a way that works for me. And I said, honey, I have a problem. I know how I treat the people that become my clients, and I care about them. I care about the issues that they're facing, and the level of care that I have for my clients comes through in the attentiveness that I have to their issues and concerns and how quick I can turn things around. And I said, I'm no different than they are, because they do what they do and they want to give a certain level of care that's on brand for them. How are they going to do that? How am I going to be able to grow and scale if there's only one of me to give that type of care and attention to? How am I going to do that? And we walked a little bit more, and he didn't say anything. He's good like this. He lets me talk things out.
I can picture his face. Yeah.
Yes, he just keeps walking forward, just letting me babble right next to him, blah, 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 blah. And I said, honey, how am I going to duplicate myself? And then I just had that moment where my head twitches and my eyeballs bulge and I'm quiet, and he's just walking, and I'm sure if I would have looked up at him in that moment, he would have said, keep going, honey. And what ended up happening was I'm sitting there thinking, there isn't a single business owner that I met, seriously, across all my years, that wouldn't love to have a personal assistant, but they're expensive, right? And then I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great if you could have your own type of person that you could feed information to. You only had to train once, because let's face it, training can be very expensive and it can take a long time. And who better knows your business than you do? So if you only have to teach it once, wow, wouldn't that be great? So, and I'm saying all this out loud because he lets me do that, and I love him for it. And I just kept talking it through. And then we started walking faster. And we're walking, and I said, you know what I need to do? I need to figure out how to make a digital persona that a business owner, even myself, can train. And it needs to take care of certain details, certain processes, certain types of duties that would free up time, money, and resources. And I'm just like, how am I going to do this? So that was 6 years ago. All right. So since then, we are now offering what we call AI-powered marketing. And the reason that we did this, and the reason that we had that conversation that long ago, was because opening an agency, I'm not the only advertising agency out there. How am I going to differentiate myself from the big names that are there, that are established and possibly, better well-known than I am, and still have an edge of my own so I can grow and make my dreams come true?
Yeah.
And this little tenet, this little thing that I'm talking about, is no different than any other entrepreneur that I've met. They all have the same thing. And I suspect you do too. How am I going to do this, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're walking and we're talking, and it's a different day now, a couple years later. And I said, you know what? We have to create something different. We have to do that. And so I partnered with some strong businesses, and I elected to have my company staff be handpicked locally. So everybody is stateside. Everybody is in the state of Michigan, or at least has been. And I couldn't be more proud of the people that I surrounded myself with. That said, what we chose to do was to take, and it's been a journey. I can assure you, it's been a journey to take a digital image of anyone, and I'm just going to say a business owner, and we could say you for that.
Yeah.
So Jason, we could take a digital image of you. We can program it using AI, artificial intelligence. We can use chat GPT functionality. We can use machine learning, and we use large language models and all this technology now. And we can actually create an entity that is powered by AI that can tell your story on your website today. It can talk to your prospects on your site. And it's revolutionary. It's conversational AI avatars. And the idea is that if I have this representation of you online, and we know that our client base or our audiences are so dedicated to their digital devices, when they learn about you, where are they going to go? They're not necessarily going to ask a friend. They're going to go and see if you're legit online, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to go to your website. Well, the ability that you have as a business owner to scale now happens because this avatar, the content and all the training, everything is done by you. So it's a reflection of your brand. And it can be a consistent message, branded message, 24 hours a day. So again, where there's only one of you, and thank God there is, this avatar can talk to thousands of people at the same time at any hour of the day. So I had mentioned earlier something about, work-life balance. I know people who will take a call any time of the day for their clients, and yay for them. That's a level of service that I commend them for. Mm-hmm. I know that I'm a workaholic, and if I don't put my boundaries up, I'm not going to get proper sleep, and all those things that come with, work-life balance. So I do that, and I impose that on my staff too. I don't need you working 24 hours a day. I don't need you putting 100 hours in a week. I just want the best of what you can do. And today, what I'm finding with the research and the advancements of the technology that we're using today, here's what's really particularly interesting. We built as a company a metaverse landscape of downtown Royal Oak 5 years ago. That was one of our first projects. At the same time, we were building an avatar. That avatar could live inside that landscape. A few years later, Mr. Moneybags, Mr. Zuckerberg, he stepped up and said, we're going to do this. So our company turned and said, okay, you have more money than I do. So I concede. And then we said, that's okay. We're going to focus on our avatars. So that's what we did. And then about a year and a half ago, ChatGPT entered the marketplace. Mm-hmm. And it has changed and continues to change the way people in every industry are going to market and functioning as a business. So for us, we're like, okay, this is awesome. This is really good. But we had to pause for a minute because that type of technology was so innovative. There weren't enough guidelines and parameters on its application. And if you look at when it was launched to even today, there have been multiple upgrades and changes to that to continually improve it. We're going to see that happen as we move on into the next revolution of technology. So we're going to have that. I don't think it's ever going to be done. But what we can do is make it manageable for smaller businesses or businesses in general, so they can use that technology to do those tasks on brand, right? And I tell people who I talk to on a regular basis, at no time in history can I imagine that the premium value of human time and attention is more valuable than it is now. And what I believe these avatars can do for us is they can actually shift some of that burden that actually makes an employee cranky. I mean, how many times do you answer the same question over and over again? And what you want to really do is say, I think that this could be answered in a certain way. And you want it always answered that way, right?
Yes.
And then some of those more important questions or situations or reasons to be in contact with the client are left to be shared or done by someone of the human context versus a digital context.
Absolutely.
So our goal has been to have this type of technology available, priced accordingly so that it's affordable and anyone that's having a business can actually have this. So from, oh my gosh, can it do this? Can it do that? I went to, it doesn't matter if it can there. Today, here's what we can do. And we continue to work with these same partners, and we continue to make advances of our own, and our client feedback and interaction has been pivotal, and I welcome it. I bring it in and I'm like, how can we make this be what you need it to be? And that's either a plus or a minus, but it helps us grow and stay in tune with our audience so we can continue to deliver what it is that they're looking for when it comes to running their business and working with an agency.
Before we get back at it, a quick shout out for our sponsor, Playbook Builder, powered by AI. This show has always been about giving the resources and the tools to small business owners in order to grow and scale your businesses successfully. And so I'm so excited to partner with a company that does just that. If you listened and heard any of our guests, you've heard talking about building process, developing and training, building culture, are all such important pieces in order to building a great company. Well, Playbook Builder, powered by AI, has come along and revolutionized the game on how you can do that for your team and people. Whether you're onboarding new people, training and developing, continued training and developing, you're looking to scale your business or eventually sell, or most importantly, you're looking to build a legacy as a visionary. Playbook Builder, powered by AI, is able to solve those problems for you. For me as a consultant, I've been able to plug in, and it's so amazing for what I do for clients. I can now leave a legacy. And so, for example, I'm next week training a new hire for a company, and I've been able to build out the next month of her training program using Playbook Builder, powered by AI. The cool thing about the AI, what does that do? What's the hardest part of building out a process? Taking the step by step and making it easy to learn. What the AI piece does is you can actually type in what process it is, whether you want to onboard, if you want to onboard a new employee, type in onboard a new employee and what type of industry you're in, and the AI will put together a foundation for you to build out your playbook. It is absolutely incredible. But don't take my word for it. Head on over to playbookbuilder.com, and these guys have set it up to where you can take this for a test run with no obligations. Plug in what kind of playbook you want to build. If it's a sales training playbook, for example, plug that in the description. And in the description, you can also put in what kind of industry you're in, and then hit generate, and it will generate a playbook for you. Impress from there, and you can take a 30-day free trial of the playbook system altogether. This is all incredible. Just like solving a huge problem that you come in firsthand and you see it. Like I know as you're talking, these are all the same problems that every solopreneur has, right? And
right.
How do you duplicate yourself?
How?
I mean, how many times has that question been asked out loud? How do I duplicate myself?
Yeah, there's only one of you. And here's the other interesting thing that I'm running into is that technology sometimes can be a very scary thing. If you look in any industry, every single industry continues to evolve and refine what it can do, and they embrace technology. It's just how far down the funnel, and when it comes to the users that actually apply it, implement it into their business, how much are they actually implementing so they can get the benefit? I look at these avatars as a way to relieve some of the stresses of running a business. The problem is there's so much technology underneath it that it makes certain people afraid. Mm-hmm. Some people are afraid of technology. They have what I call the Skynet syndrome. They think AI is going to become a robot that's going to take their job away, and that couldn't be further from the truth. There are ethics and protocols around working with AI, and recent studies, as much as in December of 2023, actual studies, old school statistical studies with alpha and beta models and, all of those different equations that we use to qualify the results. The actual issue that people are afraid of is people misusing it out of greed and irresponsibility with it. That is the biggest concern that they have. Losing jobs and being replaced and things like that, that was actually at the bottom.
Yeah.
And I'm just surprised. Because that's what you hear of. So our company and our CTO, Christine Chubenko, she's worked with NASA. She continues to work in the research and development of our product. And she has this passion for making sure that technology is relatable and humanized. So she brings that to our company and to this software. My husband, Jeff, he is all about making sure that it's refined and simple enough that even if he doesn't have this background, I would want it and I can use it. So, and then the last, the trifecta here is my mother. Her name is Pat. And she's that woman, and I'm not giving away numbers, so she's that woman who wants to be a with it mom. Okay. But she's not a diva.
Yep.
She's got her phone, but she refuses to get an iPhone because what she has works just fine. And I understand that psychology. So the final test though is, okay, mom, here's our software. Talk to it and tell me what you want it to do. So if she can understand it, and this is not a slight, she's up there in age.
Yep.
And all through my career, there have been business owners who have said to me, well, the older generations won't use technology because they're stuck in their ways. No, that is not necessarily true. There's no absolutes here. But what I've learned is that someone has to be able to talk to them and speak to them in a language that they understand.
Yes.
And that art of language and conversation and education is not as prevalent as it used to be. So
Can I use an example on this?
Please.
Because I was in the technology industry. I sold cell phones for the longest time.
Okay.
And texting was like, if this is crazy, this is going to blow everybody's mind. If you, especially if you're younger and you don't know a world that doesn't involve texting, but text message was a hard adoption. I was like, we were trying to sell people on texting and nobody wanted it. Like, so you think about all this stuff coming out and like getting people to adopt and stuff. Texting was one of those things that was like going to fade away. Nobody wanted it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden American Idol came out and you had to text.
Yes.
This changed the landscape of our society. And I don't think anybody knows this, but like they came out and was like, okay. And I'm sure they partnered with the cell phone companies that were trying to push their agenda to push text messaging, right? And so all of a sudden you had to text message and vote for who was going to win.
Right.
And overnight texting became a thing. So fast forward all these years later and you have the older people that don't want to give up their phones or they don't want to text message, right? They're scared of these things. And so as somebody that's coming in and they're coming in and they don't want to, I don't want a smartphone, I don't want to touch any of that stuff. I'd relate to them and talk to them in their language. And so my grandma was one of the early adopters of text messaging. Why? Because do you want to talk to your grandkids?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How often are you able to talk to them on the phone? Not as often as I'd like. Have you ever texted them? No. That's where they're at, right? Like my grandma, actually, she text messages all the time. And it's very easy because I'd want to talk to my grandma, but I'm in the middle of work and everything else. But if I'm thinking about her, I can shoot her a message and then she can shoot me a message. And that conversation goes on throughout the day. Is that something that you'd be... And all of a sudden now, if something is worth it, if something is going to give you a result that you want, you'll put your toe in, right? You'll
put your toe in, yes. And that's a similar thing. I was just one of my feeds had this. Do you remember the postal system starting with Zap Mail?
Yes, Zap Mail.
That's what it was called, and it didn't take off either. And then the other piece of technology that I thought didn't take off was QR codes until COVID.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden you see them
everywhere.
On TV and on billboards everywhere. And it's,
QR codes were about to go into oblivion. No,
yes,
they could not get those to work.
Right. And
in the sense that people wouldn't adopt them.
Correct.
Yeah.
And now it's funny, my husband and I will sit at a restaurant and go, why can't we have paper? and then we look at each other, we're not becoming those people, so stop it.
What's that insurance company where you become your parents?
Yeah. So, when I talk to people about different types of technology, the same things happened in their specific industries when it comes to evolving software. So what business automation taught me in my corporate career was that software doesn't play nice with each other in the sandbox. They just don't. And one company's software might work differently than the other, which is what we see when we look at smartphones right now. There's different functionality, but they both get the job done, right?
Yeah.
So how am I going to have a tool, which is AI? How am I going to be able to integrate that into a manageable format for a business owner at any level of their business development? And what we found is our AI-powered CAI avatars, they are helping alleviate some of the burdens and issues that they face and freeing up money to invest in people. Because let's face it, people want more money, but with so much, how do I put this? So much division in where the money in your business needs to go, that some of the most important things, which in my humble opinion, people are the most important things that you have that you can invest in and surround yourself with.
Yep.
Technology is important, but at the end of the day, when you're on the phone and you need answers, I want to talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
I want somebody to be able to relate to me and what my immediate issue is or my long-term plans are and offer assistance. It might not be something I use, but just hearing your voice, hearing empathy, hearing you try to understand, answering questions, passivating me in some cases.
Yes.
But again, I want to be able to connect with a human being, and AI has its place. And I tell everyone it is a tool like a hammer.
Yes.
Pick it up, be an early adopter, figure out how to nail it, and you'll be good to go.
And it's so cool. And I've been looking forward to this because just this week right now, but 2 weeks ago, we had Robert McElmurray on, and Robert works for the Center of Advancing Automation. And so we talked about automation and AI, and we have the audience is prepped and ready to go into this. And so, again, it's this is fun.
It is. It's a really good time. And I think the other piece of it is that I come from a bit of a gaming household and background, and, sitting on this is going to sound so bad, but I like watching other people game.
Okay. Yeah.
I do. I don't need to get a cramp in my thumb to enjoy what's going on. And I'm always impressed with the graphics. And I have become astute at listening for the music, the certain tones, inflections, the paths that the characters can take, the NPCs that they have in there, the different landscapes they build in, the transitions. There's so much there. And I'm like, it is a whole nother world. So why can't we adopt that? Why can't we take part of that as a premise for how we're going to interact? And so my husband would be playing, or I'd be playing, and he'd be watching, and we'd chat back and forth. And our whole family has gaming tendencies. Let's
awesome.
Just put it out there.
Yeah.
And so it's really exciting to talk about the different games that they play and what they like and what they don't like about it, and have a relevant conversation about, okay, so you were this character, you got to do this in first person. Well, what if we? So we play a lot of what ifs, and it's just a very robust soup of conversation. And you just take little spoonfuls here and there about something that, well, maybe we could do that. Maybe we could do that. And I think that there are certain people, as you know, who don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't want to talk to people. I am not in the headspace, and I don't have bandwidth to deal with everything that goes with that. I am human. I admit it. And then there are other people that all they do is want to take up your time, and they want to talk to you, but you're like, okay, I got to get back to something else. I can't answer that.
Chewing your arm off.
And yes, those people know who they are, but at the same time, it's also they're reaching out with humanity to connect with the world. They don't want a digital solution. So today's business owner has to find a way, a happy medium where they can address different generations, different types of people on how they want to be serviced and interacted with. And then another generation or any overlap so that your business can follow a sustainable way to manage growth and consumer expectations.
That's like, and again, it's like there's a lot of people that are worried about, I'm going to lose a job or whatnot. It's just thinking about, and this is what me and Rob talked about too, changing your outlook and what you're doing in that job. You're getting this sophisticated tool to make your job easier.
Yes.
But and believe me, I have my AI tools. You have to have a human overlooking a lot of this.
Oh my gosh. You bring up a great point. So I tell people that I speak with, I said, you're already using AI and you don't even know it, or you won't acknowledge it. Okay. And by that, I mean, look at how Alexa and Siri and Hey Google, all of those things are types of AI that are learning, that are gathering information, and they're figuring out what you want. But let's face it, those are huge, behemoth, large language models, and they are meant to be monetized.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm not there yet, but what we have done is given you the ability to curate content that you can be responsible for and keep it on brand. If you can do that, then you're taking a step in a very modern way towards your future growth. When you look at the investment you make in people, it's the same thing in technology, because those same pieces of technology that are already out there, how many times have you received a voice message that has been converted to a text and you look at it and go, what the heck are they trying to say? Or you send a text and you have auto on it and you say things that, make for great memes. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, yeah.
And there is human oversight, and it's actually designed so that there always will be. Again, we're going to go back to it's how responsible people are with this technology. It's a tool. So you can kill somebody with a hammer, but at the same time, you can build a house.
Yes.
So it's the person.
Yes.
So I tell people, you have to embrace this. The more you know, the better off you are. Be an early adopter. That doesn't mean necessarily jumping in and integrating fully. It means taking the steps you're comfortable with, understanding, because it's not going away. I mean, you hear about the companies that are laying off people, and I even talked to some of my peers and some other colleagues, and they say that, ChatGPT, OpenAI, and I'm going to name drop those, they've changed the way they work. And it was meant to do that, because the creative process, this is what I tell students. So recently I was at Northwood University and I gave a class presentation on our company and AI and what we're doing with it. And I gave them a demo, and it was very well received, and it was exciting to do. Northwood is my alma mater. So
awesome.
Yep. And these 3 young men met with me afterwards. It was like a little mini round, and we talked for about an hour and a half. And this young man, Noah, he said, I want to give a presentation at an upcoming competition about how to use AI in automotive, right? And as you know, Northwood is noted for, how should I put this? Their automotive presence in both dealerships, aftermarket, and all things automotive. Yeah. So the chair of the department, LG Bright, he invited me up there, and we talked. The 5 of us were in the room, and we talked. And this young man had such great ideas, and I don't want to steal his thunder, but I feel compelled in this instance to give you some context. Yeah. He said, what if we had people who came to the site and we could assess their DISC model, DISC,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
And then we find that out and we pair them with a salesperson who has the matching components. And I just listened because I loved how he was thinking. It was great. And I get excited when I see people apply this and start critically thinking about its application. And I said, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. So what if you pair me with someone and I don't like them? And he didn't quite have an answer for that at the time. And then we started fleshing out a little bit more about how AI could help. And I said, people are visual. You need to give the consumer control of their process, but give them a process to get control of. And that's part of what AI can do. Furthermore, if I'm running my own business, I know that I want certain people to be paired with other people. That's my job, is to grow my business and do sales. So, John over here might not have the best DISC match, but he's a great salesperson, and I've seen him work with lots of different type of people. So I was explaining to them, the 3 of them, but Noah in particular, because he was doing the presentation, different ways that our product can address that and how it can be automated and help with sales. So fast forward to the weekend, they went out, all of them, LG and his team. I think there were 15 young people or students from the college who went out to the National Automotive Dealers Association convention out in Las Vegas.
Oh, super awesome.
And he did a pitch to the board, and that was his competition, and he won first place. So he was, yes. So he, I was just going through my LinkedIn because, yes, I do from time to time go on there, and LG had posted, look what our young people have done. And I'm reading, and I just had this, my heart was like, holy cow, because we had just released it like a week before to a group of insurance people, and they were blown away. I mean, can you imagine the guidelines that they have to follow? Oh, insurance.
Oh, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we were able to provide them a solution and talk to them about how AI can help their industry. And we haven't found an industry yet that we can't help, which is pretty cool.
That's really cool.
And so this,
because you do look at the regulations from either insurance or financial services, and they're tough.
They're very tough. And the beauty of it is because we work with a large language model that's confined. You get to decide what goes in that space. And then if it's going to go outside of what we call a repository, if it goes outside of that, it actually has to give a disclaimer that content, once you leave the site or you are exited from this avatar's interaction and we take you off site for verification or just to find something, the answers are not the responsibility of this vendor. So we've put some protocols in play. Is it perfect? Well, ChatGPT isn't perfect yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a lot of minds and a lot of money behind that one too. So all of us at TAG are all trying to develop something from a very grassroots and gritty place of application. I want to get there. I want to be there. I want to do the things I want to do. I'm really good at some things, but I need some help in other ways. And how am I going to be able to get it? Who's going to do it? And how can I afford it? We're trying to answer those questions for them.
This is so exciting because you're literally pioneering in creating like that walk with Jeff, like you created something and then have been on this mission to bring it to life, and it's right there.
It is right. It is so close. It's about it. Yes. And I know I'm fumbling all over my words to describe it, and it's not my intent. My intent is to just say, yes, I can't even measure the distance. It's right there. And we want to let as many people as we can know what we're doing. We're going to go through our own website refresh. So I told you about 3 weeks ago that we shared in a demo what we were doing, and we're going to be redoing our entire website to follow a model that people could say, how is this going? And I said this about 5 years ago, and I believe in the next 5 years, websites as you know it are probably going to go by the wayside.
Yeah.
And when you think about stepping up to a business or bank teller's window, think about, I'm talking to this person. You step up to the window to talk to somebody. That's what your website's going to be. And we're going to be able to create a way for that particular channel to give you that readability as well. But at the same time, all the different functions that you need as a business owner to have as perfect as you can make it, representative, giving your prospects and your clients the best user experience the modern world can provide.
Just game changing. I'm ready for that. I'm ready for the future. I'm ready to see what this looks like.
I can't wait to show you. It'll be great.
Yeah. So what are ways have you been able to work through and plug in? What kind of companies are you?
So as you know, there are many people in the space. I would like to give a shout out, if I may.
Yeah.
There's a convention out there called Voice, and they've been around for maybe 4 years. And when you go back and look at the number of people that were attending that convention right around 2020 or so, there were probably 30 to 50. As of last year, there were over 300, and it's just growing. So we have worked with some amazing graphic designers that, we've worked with Apple, we've worked with Google, one of our best partners is Code Baby. We work with Nori Daroga and his team. Michelle is fantastic. So there's and then Christine, our person, who else? There's so many people that I would like to give a shout out to. And what's coming up down the road, if I told you that, I would steal my own thunder, so I can't do that. But there are some amazing developments that we're working on that will bring that interactive spirit experience with clients or just the general audience to the entertainment world. So we're doing some really cool things. But at the end of the day, I know that sounds cliche. Our economy, our lives revolve around how we contribute and manage to take care of ourselves. We have to have progressive tools to keep us current and effective in our marketplaces. And I like to think that conversational AI is just our first stepping stone. And with our partners and with the feedback from our clients, business is that mutual exchange of goods and services for a reasonable return, right?
Yeah.
I want to be able to be a part of how that changes in today's modern world, but at the same time, sit back and watch how people use it. Because to me, that's really exciting. Make it yours.
Yeah.
Make it yours.
Because it's the same thing you even see with ChatGPT, how people came about and just started thinking about things differently. And I remember when I first started, I was like asking like from a marketing standpoint and asking specific questions that other people didn't think about.
Correct.
You know, and it's like it all, you're going to get the results depending on how you're talking to it and that kind of thing. But just now seeing where it's going and seeing how people are utilizing it, and it's going to just keep getting expanding.
So it's really interesting you bring that up, because when I was doing that presentation at Northwood, I believe and have for some time now that when it comes to hiring people or the fear of loss of your job because technology or machines are going to take over your job, I believe that there are three intrinsic qualities that have become so valuable to hiring you or being of value to someone else. I'm not saying to yourself, but your ability to be creative. I think that's huge. You can't replace that. The second thing that I think is just as critical is your attitude, right? You want to be able to approach things from a positive place. We always can't. I mean, let's face it, life happens and sometimes we react to it. So we have creativity, we have attitude, and last but not least, and this is going to feel like a matrix kind of thing, but energy. You're willing to put in effort. How much of that do you have? How much critical thinking with good ethics and the energy and motivation behind it do you have to get after something? And I see in the news about people complaining about not being hired. I can't afford to pay you top dollar for doing rudimentary things. I can't afford to do that. But I do believe in the value of you as an individual. I believe you have merit in your thinking. I believe that there is an energy that we can use somehow. I don't know exactly what it is. So it becomes a matter of experience and willingness. And what I can't buy and I can't duplicate with AI needs to come from human beings. And so that's what I'm looking for in people. I want creative, I want energetic, and I want a great attitude. I don't see that on a resume. I see where you've been, and that's all well and good, but anybody who's worked for me will tell you, yeah, she's going to want to meet you and see how you see yourself in her space and how you see the world and how you think. She wants to know. And I do. I want to know people. I want to give them a landscape where they can contribute in a way that suits their talents best.
And without knowing them, you can't do that.
I don't envy HR right now. And I'm really sorry for people who are looking for jobs and have to go through that process. That needs to change too. But I don't have the bandwidth to fix that one. I'm working on this one over here right now.
But it is, and I think even from this podcast, like going back to like when I was interviewing salespeople or interviewing people for, like I'd have people tell me afterwards, that was the best interview I've ever been on. I felt like I was just sitting at coffee with a friend, right? And because of that, people would tell me things they wouldn't tell other people. They would like, and I'd get to know them so much better at a different level. It went from being that I'm at a job interview and I'm going to be like straight arrow Jason that is not out of the box to how do you think? Like we're having like good conversation and then I can throw a problem at him and we can talk about like,
right. What would you do? What do you think of this? How would you handle it? And I know that there are protocols and there are processes in place for HR departments to vet that out. I leave that to them, and I suppose I'm a victim of that in places too. That's the part that I think is interesting too. Is that if you were to take a good look at some of the people that you employ, they have unique gifts and talents. While you can't know everybody to the core, what you can do is see what they're good at, see where their passions lie, and see where you can place them so you can get the most out of them in the time that you can pay them for. And I think most people just want to feel appreciated and be given a sense of purpose and contribution. How do you give that to them? Well, first of all, you have to relieve some of that rudimentary or that routine that's in play that frankly probably frustrates them, and give them a new way to apply their skills, talents, and interpersonal skills. So, yeah.
Yeah, removing, because there's so many things that we don't want to do. And you even think about being a solopreneur, being by yourself in your business, and I'll challenge clients to do that quadrant of what are you uniquely good at that you love doing?
Mm-hmm.
What are you good at that you have to do? What are you not good at that you have to do? And then what is it that's like, I don't want to do this if I got paid $1 million to do it. And go through that bucket and then start delegating some of this stuff. And a lot of this can fall off to automation.
Yes, it can.
And because then you're not saddling another person with it too.
Exactly.
Because again, talking about bringing their creative genius, being a kind of an energy, if they can do inspiring work versus I've got to answer these emails or I've got to, do this thing that anybody can do.
Right. Well, and that's the part that I think the value of the human being needs to be rediscussed. I think that when you look at how corporations and small businesses bring in human talent, maybe I'm alone in my thinking, but I have been there. I have been in a place where, why am I not what you're looking for when I want to do this? Right? Well, I don't have to worry about hurting your feelings by making a computer, right?
Yeah.
Or a piece of software do what needs to be done so that the real value of your contributions can be realized and applied. And I feel really good about being able to bring that. I've always wanted to help. And sometimes, just a walk can help you figure that out, right?
Yes.
And it gives the diversity and the freedom of choice, the freedom of application, because, people who know me, when I get an idea, sometimes I'm a Michelle outline through the wall going after it. And you can get hurt that way. And I know this. And so I have learned to kind of, there's the door instead. I'll go through the door.
You're not going to be like the Kool-Aid man busting through the...
It's just and so the people that I have around me have contributed in ways that they will never really know how valuable they are to me. And it's helped polish my presentation and my sense of purpose, because I can take into account their perceptions of the situation and see it from their angle. And it's when you're in business, and maybe again, I'm alone in this. There might be some people who are listening right now and say, what is she thinking? But I want to be able to have a sense of purpose in what I do. I want people, I want to be able to bring something to fruition that has a unique benefit, but that people in many walks, I can't say all because there's an absolute again, many walks can apply and change and morph into what they need it to be. That's exciting. That's just really exciting to me.
It's exciting. And I love how you talked about the beginning of when you get out in the marketplace, there's so many marketing companies, there's so many. And so how do you, one, differentiate, but then also tying it into your purpose, your legacy, what do you leave behind?
Well, it's really interesting. Leaving it behind. I don't know where I will be when I'm gone.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'll be. I don't know if what's left behind will be of value to my family or anyone for that matter. So I'm focusing on the memories and the impact I can create now. And all I can do is hope for the best. I can only act with good intentions. Again, human, less than perfect. I do try. And be able to put in play something that makes a difference and is malleable. It has to be malleable and it has to be able to grow. So when I'm gone, my hope is that it will have made a difference while I was there to witness it. So as far as a legacy goes, my children are my legacy. I am blessed with the children that I have, and they're doing phenomenal things and they contribute to society and they are my greatest success. And I like to think they stand on the sidelines as I'm in the ring trying to get this done, and they're going, "Go, mom, go, mom!" And when they're doing their thing, I'm on the outside of their ring, and come on, go, 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 go. And if you ever interviewed them, they'd be the ones that would say, "Yeah, she was the one in the stands, always the loudest, cheering us on." And I feel that way about the clients that I take on. If you choose to adopt this, I'm your biggest cheerleader, and I want it to be successful for you. I do. And I want to see the joy that can come from success. With any type of grit that you might have to apply to your success and your process, it's a thrill to be a part of it. I don't have to do it all. I just a little bitty bit, but grits are small, and the more of it, the better off you are.
Absolutely. Coffee and grit. It's all about the grit.
Man. That's what I say.
But it's so cool. And, there's always a reoccurring theme with guests in the sense of like you're doing like mostly everybody that I've talked to is doing something that's solving a problem that they've came across themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then the reoccurring theme that we've had through here is that people are our greatest resource. Because you're talking about something like automation and AI and it's relieving humans from things that they really don't want to do anyways, right?
But I need a job.
But I need to do this. Like, there's no business owner that's like, I really want to maintain my website and answer like all the, there's like, no, you don't really want to do that stuff. You started your business because you had this passion or this thing, that you wanted to do. And there's probably all these back end things that, man, if I could get rid of these because they still need to be done.
They still need to be done. And let's face it, when you're running a business, sometimes you need to be front of house, right? And then other times you need to be back of house.
Yes.
Who's working in the middle? There has to be solutions so that it can be almost worry-free. There has to be. And I think conversational AI and our avatars, I think they're a step in that direction. They don't solve the entire problem. I can't give myself that much credit because where we're at today is it's the culmination of all these different companies, hundreds, thousands of people over the last 100 years who have contributed to the technology that we're living in today. It's just how can we apply it and make it a reasonable implementation for people to adopt? And I think we got something.
That's so cool.
I think we got something.
How do you speaking of that, how do you then onboard and
Oh, okay. So we have a monthly model, subscription model. So as an agency, again, I'm going to go back to why I started. I built what we have, or we built what we have, so that the do-it-yourselfer has the ability to learn, cut costs, fully understand what it is that they're doing. We have a delegation model or a project-based model where you can hire us and we will create the bigger part of it and then set it free for you, or you can just dump it entirely on our lap and we'll do the whole thing and you just pay us a monthly bill. So we wanted to be able to give people that option, and we do. So the onboarding process is, if you have a website, great. If you have documentation, PDFs, different types of files, images, anything, put that all in a pile, because that becomes the core information for your large language model. And we take all of that and we put it into a space that can be accessed by the software. The more AI is used, the better it gets. Mm-hmm. Okay. So onboarding is the process of collecting that data or accessing it where it is. We also have to have an avatar done. So our clients have a choice. We have some stock images that they can choose from. I don't necessarily recommend that, but then it becomes maybe a budget issue. So I have to give them the option to scale that back if they need to. We also do custom avatars, and that's really exciting. That's where a lot of fun happens. Then we meet, we collect this, and what's profoundly, I have to take a big deep breath when I tell you this. When we start putting all of this together, we have in our literature that it takes about 2 hours before it's up and running.
Wow. Okay. Is that on target?
Actually, Christine, who I mentioned earlier, she can do it in less than an hour. But I'm not putting that out there in print.
That's
because
crazy. That's a turnaround time.
That's nuts, right? So it can be done. The second part of this is once you figured out what it is that we're going to start with, right? And you figured out your avatar, we then put it on a website, on your website. So if you have one, okay, great. We're just going to put it in there. If you don't have one, well, guess what? You can reach out to us and we can, but there are lots of companies out there that do websites, and we have our favorites. We work on a multi-site server. We work with just about any kind of templated version that's out there. It's just a conversation that we have to have. And whatever we build is yours to keep. You can strip it out of our server and take it wherever you want, or you can leave it there and there's just an annual fee. Now, what's interesting is when it comes to the cost, I don't usually get that question anymore.
Yeah.
People aren't asking, well, how much is it? Because usually, when you're in a sales position or you're an entrepreneur, you're always interested in selling. I'm interested in sharing what this can do for you. And I usually don't get the question of the cost. So if you're sitting down, great. If you're standing up, sit down. The cost is, right now, it sits at $150 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can't, you buy your first 3 months, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, you go month to month and you can turn it off whenever you want.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yes. That you can't pay people. I mean, you can't. There's no way that you can, and now you're freeing up money to pay someone to do something more valuable for your business.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that doesn't include what we call integration. So when you're talking about business automation, one of my partners that I work with is from Galileo Insights, and his name is Mark Duhame, wonderful man. I just adore his brain. Okay. And he surrounds himself with excellent people. And in doing what it is that he does, he brings the integration side of it alive so that business functions can work in concert with the artificial intelligence. So integrations are different. Business automation is different than AI-powered marketing, but we have the ability to kind of blend them. So pricing there is consultative. I can't quote anything because I don't know what you have and what you want. So I would be remiss if I didn't say, hey, there is a price to that, and it's more than what the subscription is. But there you have it. It's where do you want to take your business? What do you want to invest in, and how do you want technology to work for you? Does that answer the question?
It does.
Okay.
It does. I think it'd be an awesome time to really bust in and look at and
Sure.
do a demo.
Yeah, wanna?
This has been incredible. And thank you again for coming down, because I know you came all the way from Clawson.
I did,
So
yeah.
a little bit of a drive.
A little bit. And Michigan, we're orange barrel country. So I was roping and playing rodeo out there on the highway. So yeah.
At least the sun's out. So,
give me a, preach. I didn't need vitamin D pills today. Yes. I'm going to go out and let the sun give me a sunburn with vitamin D. Yay.
For those not in our beautiful state of Michigan, I realized last week how much we all miss the sun here in Michigan when the sunset was out, or the sunrise, was coming up, and everybody in Michigan's posting pictures of the sunrise. We're like, yes.
I work in a very walkable area, and I sit and watch all these people. They just were everywhere. They were just. It's like all of a sudden, what happened to everybody's houses? They're all out. And it was okay because here's one with a dog. Here's one with a stroller. Here's a runner. Here's a biker. Here's kids that are part of a school team. Here's this, all these things. And it was like, I love our state. I love Michigan. Go Lions.
Go Lions.
Yes, so we can jump into a demo
absolutely.
whenever you're ready.
So let's do that.
Okay.
Welcome back. We're back with Michelle Armstrong from TAG Multimedia, and we are joined by our guest, a new guest, Mike.
A new guest, Mike.
We got our new guest in the studio.
Yes, that's our CAI avatar, Mike.
There he is. He's been sitting there waiting patiently.
Yes, he is. He's a good guy. So what's interesting about this is we have it in two different versions, and this is the larger one. We call him Mega Mike.
Mega Mike.
So a lot of people are used to talking into their computers with a chatbot feature, usually in the lower right-hand corner. So for those people that are used to that, Yeah, he comes in that version too. You just have to choose. It's kind of up to you. So, yeah.
Well, what's so cool is as I met Adam San Juan, who
Yes.
introduced me to you through
Yes.
Michael Mann, and Mega Mike looks like Michael Mann.
Oh,
Doesn't he
wow.
look like Michael?
Dude, I'm not going to be able to unsee that now. That looks a lot like Michael Mann.
So
I was like, did you was Michael Mann the inspiration to Mega Mike?
No, actually, this is one of our stocks, our stock default avatars that someone can choose from. You can change a hair color and change pants and outfit. We give you some different options that are included in the base price. So, yeah, there's that. No, Mega Mike actually came about because my character, I have my own avatar from when we started, and when we first were trialing this, it used to be Mega Michelle because I wanted to take up the whole screen. It's not a fat joke or anything. It's just I was like, I foresee how websites are going to be, and I wanted it to consume most of the screen.
Well, and I love how he's like front and center and takes up the whole screen. And to what we were talking off camera is like, it really makes the whole website irrelevant the way the future is going.
Yes.
You're not really, plotting through, and people will see here in a second how this works.
Yeah. So in order to get started, you're just going to go to somebody's website. And the one that you see here, the Comprehensive Benefits Inc., this is a site that is actually live. Now, let me qualify that in saying this technology is not live on this client's site yet. Okay. What we do is you had asked about onboarding. We create a safe space for you to trial your character. So this is sitting on our server in a directory. So you can't access it yet. But I know how. So when you click on the website and then go to activate him, see this little button down here? Okay, that's the microphone. When you press that, it starts everything. And every time you want to talk to the software, to the machine, to however it is you want to call it, Mike in this case, you need to press the microphone. We have a couple security issues that we have addressed up front. The first one is when you engage this, there will be a window that pops up and it will say, do we have permission to use your microphone and your speakers? So you just have to allow. It's not always on like some other similar features are that we're used to in our everyday lives. So it's only engaged when you begin talking to it. So that said, hello.
Hello, it's Mike here from Comprehensive Benefits. How may I help you today?
We got Mike sound checked.
Great to hear that everything's working well. If you're all set with the sound check, how can I be of service to you today? Do you have any questions or need assistance with anything insurance related?
That's awesome, Mike.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear you're pleased. If there's anything you need assistance with, don't hesitate to ask. How can I help you with your insurance needs today?
Can you give me some information on small business insurance?
Absolutely. I can provide you with some key information on insurance options for small businesses. General liability insurance. Essential for any small business, this insurance provides protection from financial losses due to claims of bodily injury, property damage, and advertising injuries that can occur during business operations. Commercial property insurance - this insurance covers your business's physical assets from fire, explosions, burst pipes, storms, theft, and vandalism. Items covered.
Mike, can you help me talk to someone else?
Certainly, I can assist with that. If you would like to speak with someone directly, you can contact our representative, John Doe, at 248-555-1212. They will be able to provide you with personalized assistance and answer any questions you might have. Is there anything else I may assist you with right now?
Mike, you want to go on a date?
I appreciate the sentiment, but as an AI, I'm here to provide professional assistance with your insurance inquiries. If there's something specific related to insurance or the services we offer that you need help with, feel free to let me know.
It's a nice way to say no.
It's a nice way to say
Mike
no.
just turned us down.
Mike just turned us down. So what other questions should I ask? Oops.
What are your hours of operation?
What are your hours of operation?
I apologize for not having the specific hours of operation for comprehensive benefits on hand. To get the most accurate information, please reach out to John Doe at 248-555-1212, and they will be able to provide you with the details you need.
So what's
Is there
interesting about
anything
that
else I can
response?
assist you with at the moment?
So what's interesting about that response is it begs the question if that information was on their website.
Mm.
So it's an interesting, check of relevant information that people ask for.
Yeah.
So that was a good question.
It's a relevant question.
It's a
Yeah,
relevant
yeah.
question, very much so. Do you have social media?
As an AI, I don't have personal social media accounts, and I apologize for not having the specific information on comprehensive benefits social media presence.
Again,
For the
another
latest
check there.
updates and to connect with us, please contact our representative, John Doe at 248-555-1212. They can provide you with links to our official social media accounts and other ways to stay in touch with us. Would you like assistance with anything else today?
What underwriters do you work with?
I apologize, but I don't have the specific details on the underwriters comprehensive benefits works with. For that information, it would be best to speak directly with a representative who can provide you with a list of our partner underwriters and more details about our working relationships with them.
Those are things, if you wanted to, as a client, you could put in all that detailed information. So it's knocking that part out.
Is there anything else I can help you with today?
So when people put their websites together, it's very interesting what they think is relevant and what they think isn't. And the beauty of working with this is we have all the content to answer specifically what people are looking for. That was a technical question, and in the insurance business, they have guidelines, very specific guidelines that they have to follow and certain rules that they have to comply with. So that's a big deal. So part of this is you don't want to give away, too much. So if a question does come up, you have the ability to go into the repository and review that interaction and make changes accordingly.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
You're collecting that data, understanding
Correct.
what questions are being asked.
Yes. So the training that we're talking about, that's what this is. It's specific to your business. And just like you would with any person, the beauty of it is training and correcting is a one-time thing. But with people, sometimes there's that repetition in order for it to stick.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much necessarily here. It's just about where you're going to put those corrections in order for it to access it correctly.
So leaders, if you've ever had the conversation like, well, I told them,
Right.
this is a different where it's actually listening.
It is actually listening. And those are real-time responses. And I haven't even seen some of these responses that they're coming up with. That's the first time I ever asked, do you want to go on a date? I didn't know what he was going to say.
Well, it was so cool when I was talking about the sound check, and he's like, good, I'm glad the sound check worked out.
Yeah, it's fairly effective. So there's a lot of different ways this can be integrated, and you can see some of the questions that we just asked are questions that someone would ask, and it's the same answer no matter who does ask it. So again, the redundancy of certain things in the course of a normal day, this can alleviate some of the stress of having to provide that information with a perky disposition.
Fantastic, Michelle. This has been awesome. This has
Thank
been
you.
so cool going through the demo and just having this conversation with you. Thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you for having us. Mike thanks you too.
Oh,
And
my pleasure, Mike.
hopefully you'll be out to visit us soon and be able to interact with a whole bunch of different ones in the days ahead, okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Or Jason. Oh my God.